Durham's 2014 Gang Assessment Report is out, and it's painting a new picture of gang activity in the city. The report was prepared on behalf of Durham's Gang Reduction Strategy Steering Committee and was an update to the first assessment that was completed in 2007.
That assessment had 45 recommendations. Some of those were met, some we're still working on, and some aren't relevant anymore. So after 7 years, we thought it was probably time to refresh that information and do an additional assessment. So that's what we did. We gathered information from the census, from law enforcement, from the school district, from our service providers, and looked at that information over time and came up with an accurate assessment of where we believe our community stands on the subject matter of gangs right now.
The city and county will use the information gathered from the assessment to create an action plan to address youth violence in the community.
There's positive findings and negative findings. On the whole, if you look at the positive side, I think Durham is doing quite well. We've made great strides since 2007. We truly believe that even though the risk factors such as poverty, single-parent families, low educational attainment, those risk factors are still there, but we believe that a smaller segment of youth that have those risk factors are falling into gangs. For law enforcement, we found that property crime is way down when we look at property crimes committed by validated gang members, and we're very pleased with that. However, we found that violent crime actually is inching upwards, and that's an area of concern to us. So some of the violent crimes that we're most concerned about, of course, are crimes involving weapons, crimes like aggravated assaults that involve multiple victims. Those types of crimes tend to drive up the violent crime rate. So for instance, if there's a drive-by shooting and there's 4 or 5 people in the home, that's 4 or 5 violent crimes, even though it's actually one incident. So we're very concerned about those, and obviously we're concerned about especially those types of incidents where there may be innocent bystanders involved. So that's a topic of concern.
The steering committee developed a number of recommendations for how to address youth violence and gang activity based on those findings.
We have several recommendations. As I mentioned, the 2007 assessment had 45. We're down to 15 recommendations. All but 2 of them are measurable, and we have data to track, so we know whether we're making progress or not. So I would say in the area of law enforcement, of course, as I mentioned, our violent crime rates, our aggravated assaults is an area of focus that we wish to continue on. We're concerned about all gang crime. We're concerned about the breaking and entering. We're concerned about the age of the youth that are involved in that. So those continue to be areas of concern for law enforcement.
Since funding for gang crime prevention is often based on a community's assessment of gang activity, Durham is now in a better position to take advantage of federal and state grant opportunities. The complete 2014 gang assessment can be found on the Durham County website.